Hello, I'm Kusa. In some places, as here in Foundry, I'm known as the Runelord Sage 2, and today we are here to talk about the Vaesen system for Foundry. Foundry VTT, there is an amazing system to play your RPGs online, and I'm here to talk about how you can play Vaesen on it. So before I start, I just want to make some small disclaimers here. First of all, I'm not affiliated with the Free League Publishing, the company that kind of publishes the Vaesen system or the Vaesen Chem. However, I'm today one of the maintainers of the game, of the system for Foundry, doing a kind of voluntary and community work. I didn't receive any book, any code. I'm not paid by Free League to working on the Vaesen system or to do this video. I didn't get anything that will be seen here today. Basically, I bought all the books and I like the game so much that I basically start to work with it. So let's just start. We'll be talking here about several changes and I'll be putting the timestamps of these changes on the video just to make things simpler, so you can kind of jump right to some position if you want about some specific information. Second, we'll be having some things that will be showing about the Vaesen and the creatures, not the enemies, because that's kind of complex to say, but we'll be talking about some of the monsters that we have on the game. So if you are a player, I would recommend that you jump these parts about monsters and this kind of things so you don't get any spoilers about how that works. Besides, I'm not kind of explaining to you how you install this game, how you do this kind of thing, because that is a very other topic. There is a good video that I'll be trying to put here, link, so you can see the person explaining about how to install the models and this kind of thing. So I'm just jumping directly. So first of all, when you get the game, the system will be kind of already integrated here. You can see here I'm saying that I'm on Vaesen. Right now we are on the version 4.3.1, and I'll just activate here the modules. So the modules that will activate right now is the core model, and again, this is not exactly necessary for you to play the Vaesen. You don't need to buy the books, but I would really recommend that because make things much simpler, and I'll explain how that kind of helps you. I'll activate here the image zoom. That is a small plugin that I did for Foundry that allows you to kind of have better zoom for images. We'll activate the other one that I know that Foundry recommends, is the dice so nice, basically to have the dice rolling, and we'll activate the Year Zero engine combat. That's are the models that we're activating. Just to mention, as you can see here, I have the other models, the Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries, Mythic Britain and Ireland, and the Season of Mysteries. I would recommend you to get those. They kind of make things much simpler too. Today I'll be talking only about the official core rule book, but if you are interested to see the other books and this kind of thing, let me know here in the comments. Give this video a like so maybe I can check and see to do a kind of deep dive on the other modules too. And just to say, if you are interested, I'll leave the link here in the description. You can buy the books directly on the Free League website. As you can see here, there is the Foundry version for the core rules, for the Wicked Secret, for the Mythic Britain and Ireland, and the Season of Mystery. So let's jump back and let's start our game. So let me save here the models. Foundry is having some issue. Let me just refresh it. It was not activating the modules. Oh, yeah, he activated that. He just didn't do the thing. Perfect. So as you can see here, when you run that, the first thing that will happen is that it will show you this small screen. What this basically does is that it allows you to import some content for the game. Basically, when you buy the model, what it has is that it has all these things here. So 64 actors, 343 items, 92 journal entries, 5 scenes, 37 rollable tables, 1 macro, and 48 folders. So basically, we are importing all of that to our game so we can run the things. The game, as we said, is published by Free League. The Foundry edition for the core model was made by Dr. Ogres or David Rogers. Basically, we are working together on the system to make the improvement. There is a special thanks here to Perfectro, Dad, the Free League developer community, with, in some perspective, I consider myself on this point. But yeah, I'm not named there yet. Okay, so let's import this adventure. And it will refresh the game for us. There is some welcome information here about how you can see all the game. You can read basically directly on Foundry if you want. You have everything here and you can just go there and use this thing. So basically he gives some information about how you can show art to players, some things about tokens, some recommended models, as we said, the Dice on Ice and the Year Zero June Combat. But let's just jump in. There is this token here that it was an issue, but let's go. So okay, so let's start here with the changes that we did for the game that makes your game easier to run. So I created some characters here, and it's important to say that Vaesen is a system that uses the dice pool system. So basically what happens is that whenever I have to run some skill, we'll check the sum of the attribute plus the skill itself. So let's say something, for example, I want to be good in learning, so I'm putting here 3 points. That's basically the maximum that you can start on the game, depends on your archetype. And let's say that I have logic 5, okay? So this means that if I try to run a learning test, I basically have 8 dice, and that's because I do the logic plus learning, so 5 plus 3, 8 dice. And if I roll here, that's it. I had 1 success, not 3 successes, good. On Vaesen, basically the number of successes is dictated by the number of 6s that you get. So if you have conditions, this is something on the game, what happened is that you subtracted something. So for example, all the mental conditions that we have here, they affected these skills here. So suppose, for example, that I'm hopeless, and from the moment that I'm hopeless, this means that if I try to learn something or roll a new learn test, this means that I have now 1 condition, and this condition subtracts 1 of the dice. So now if I roll, I only have 7 dice. Good, still had 1 success. Perfect. Now we can came to the new things. So based on the system, when you have some gear can give you some bonus. So for example, I could came here, and this is what you need to do if you don't have the book. You basically create some new gear here, and let's say that I have a gear that gives me 1 bonus for running the learning test. Okay, so as you can see, I didn't put any description, anything, I just put the bonus and the skill. So now if I came here and try to run a learning test, you can see that a new box here appears saying gear, and I have this new gear that gives me a +1. And if I roll that, as you can see, I rolled now 8 dice, and I rolled 8 because even that I have 1 condition, basically the gear gave me 1 bonus. So basically this is quite interesting, and this is one of the main things that we did for this new version here. The talents do the same thing. Talents can give sometimes some kind of bonus. Let's say here, for example, that I'm giving a bonus for the learning, and I'll say that I have 2 dice to run that. So if I do here learning, and if we go there again and roll the learning, you can see here now that I have this talent. So I can select my gear, I can select my talent, and I can roll that. And now I have 10 dice, and I have 10 dice because I have, let's just check here, I have 5 for my logic, 3 for my learning, I had -1 for conditions, which basically gave me 7, but then I have +1 from my gear, +2 from my talent, 10 dice. So all this calculation now is totally done automatically. There is another thing that can create some bonus or penalties, is the critical injuries. I'll do the same thing here. I'll say that I have a critical injury that is giving me a -1 penalty in learning, and of course say that it's a mental one. Perfect. Now if I try to roll my learning again, you can see that we have here the critical injuries being calculated automatically. So that is a very good system to make all the calculations for you. So if I go now here and try to roll this, let me just show that too, is that I still have the bonus dice here. So for example, suppose that another player is helping me, I can put here that I have 1 bonus dice, and doing that, voila, I have 10 dice. And I have 10 dice, as I said, because I had, let's go to the math here again, 5 for logic, +3 from learning is 8, -1 from condition is 7, -1 from critical injuries is 6, +1 from gear is 7, +2 from talent is 9, plus the 1 bonus dice that I put there, 10 dice. So basically it does all the math for you, you don't have to do anything for that. Perfect. Let's go to the next topic. The next topic is the fear roll. Fear rolls on Vaesen works in the following way. You basically just roll your logic or your empathy. Of course that you could just come here and try to roll your logic. However, there are some talents and the bonus that basically gives you something. So for example, suppose that I have here another talent, and this talent basically give me a bonus on the fear test. So if I now came here, this is not calculated because I'm just rolling logic. But now there is these new symbols here. That is exactly the fear roll. And if I click on that, it will calculate and see that I have here a possible bonus. Again, I'll put here a bonus on bonus dice too, because on fear tests, if you have another player characters that are on the same room, you can use the bonus dice. So don't forget that if you are GM. I'll be rolling that. So let's see, we have here 4 dice, +1 from my talent, it's 5, +2 here is 7, and voila, 7 dice roll. And it shows to me that it was a logic fear test because I rolled with logic. If I have clicked here, it will say that it was an empathy fear roll. The next topic is drag and drop. So it's quite common that if you have some things here, you want to make things simpler. So for example, if my character is normally doing several learning checks or fear tests, that's kind of the most common one. What you can do now is that you can just click on that, drag and drop here to your macro, and voila, we have now here a macro that is automatically rolling the fear test for you. It will not be working for me right now because the macro kind of checks about the actors. So what I'll do that, because I'm the GM, is that I'll be putting here a token so I can roll that fear test from here. That's how you can kind of use the macro bar if you are GM, so try to use the tokens. If you are the player itself, you have the character already assigned to you, so you can just kind of click from here directly without having to do anything else. So I can click anything, and again, I can basically take my learning test to here. And again, if I do that, I'm just kind of getting to roll my learning test. So you don't need to basically open your character sheet to do the things. You can just do this automatically. And that brings us to another thing, is about weapons. So weapons have the kind of thing, let me say here, it gives some bonus for some specific skill. Let me put here's one. And I have now a weapon, right? So if I roll here my close combat, that's one important thing to mention, is that it will not do the things automatically. So if I try to roll just close combat, you can see that it does not show as a gear, because you should be rolling directly from the new weapon. So if I click here, now I can say that I'm testing, I'm rolling the new weapon, and it's doing the things. Let me just see here, because I think that I put the damage but not the bonus. So let me just say that the bonus is true, just for us to see that it's different. So I can see here that it's saying, okay, I have physic 3, close combat 0, my new weapon gives me 2 of bonus, I could use some bonus dice, and I have here the damage. And if I roll that, you'll see that I have here a new weapon, saying that I had 2 successes in the number of damage that it's done. So that kind of make things a little bit simpler. And one thing that is interesting is that weapons can came here to the character sheet too. One thing is important to say is that weapons, as they are items, they are totally associated with that character. So if you try to roll as a GM for another character, so for example, let me bring here the player 2. If I try to roll this guy on the player 2, nothing will happen because it does not have this weapon there. If I try to use the fear or the skill, that was still working, and as you can see, it's taking the information from the player 2 character that are still 0. If I select the first player, the character player 1, it basically take everything from that player. So as you can see, things are much easier right now to run here if you want. Next topic is that we have the conditions now synced. That was something that it was very, very cool. We have basically, as I said, conditions. There are 4 physical conditions and 4 mental conditions. And one thing that people were asking us is that they would like to have these synced to the player. So I'm just giving here a zoom so we can see that kind of working better. Okay, I think that will be good for us to see. So as you can see here, we have all the conditions now as possibilities for the token. So if I want, for example, I was hopeless. If I'm not hopeless anymore, I can just click here and automatically you can see that it removes from the character sheet. If I do the opposite, if I click on some condition here on the character sheet, it automatically syncs that with the token. So if you are playing using tokens and this kind of thing, you can see automatically how your character is based on the conditions that we are seeing here. This is using the Foundry Actives effect and basically works much better. That's why it's totally synced and all this kind of thing. So as you can see now, we are only showing the conditions that are related to the system. So all that the full conditions that Found puts here are not available anymore because they are not make sense for the game. Fast and slow actions are used for combat, and we'll show that in some few minutes. One thing that we did is something similar to Vaesen. So what I'll do here, instead of creating one, I'll just take one of the Vaesen that we have here. So basically what we did is that now conditions are totally linked. So let me take one guy here. I don't know, let's take not a ghost, because ghost is something that does not. Let's take a giant, okay? And I have here the giant, and now comes the interesting thing. As you can see here, I have some conditions for the giant, and this is totally linked to these guys here. So let me just do something similar that we did with the player. If I came here and select the first one, you can see that automatically selects here on the character sheet. The same thing on the opposite. If I select on the character sheet, it automatically selects that on the token here. So that makes things much simpler than what we could have at this perspective. So things are much better right now, and again, you can choose that from one to another. So make things much easier for you to roll. Another thing is that right now the Vaesen character sheet are not basically linked with tokens anymore, and the reason is that because if you are running several adventures, this means that when you defeat a giant, they will not be defeated forever. So now the information about the giants or any Vaesen are really specific to the token, not to the character sheet. So if I try to select here a condition, you can see that it's saying fast conditions should be applied on tokens only, and this is because on the configuration here of the game, we have now a option that says to link NPC tokens to actor sheet and link Vasa's token to actor sheet. As they are disabled by default, you need to use tokens. If you want to use just the character sheet, you are not using tokens on your game and this kind of thing, just select these guys and they will be now linked. So this means that you will be able to select conditions directly on the player. So I'll just do that so we can see that. I'll ask to update my characters, and if I now came here, for example, and try to do that on the giant, no problem at all. I can do that without issues. The game has one thing called the headquarters, and if you look here to your character sheet, you'll see that right now we have on the character sheet the link for your headquarters. So if I click here, it opens automatically my headquarters. And what happens is that some facilities can give you some bonus, and I'll do that exactly here again. I'm creating a facility that basically gives me a bonus for doing, for example, my mental recovery, and gives me a +2 dice for doing that. And again, what happens is that because my character is related to that, when I'm kind of rolling my mental condition, you can see that I have here upgraded that gives me +2 dice. So again, there are a lot of these integration and calculations that we did on the game that make things quite easier. So just roll here and it will rolls everything for me. Basically, I have 10 dice because of the things that I rolled. One thing that I want to point at this moment, and I think that it's a good point, is that, as you can see, when I was kind of explaining here, I said, okay, I put it here new gear, I put here new talents, but that's not so practical. So I think that that's kind of a good point to explain why I was mentioning about why it's worth to buy the core rulebook. And the reason is because everything that you would like to use or that you need to use the game is here ready for you, everything configured. So all the items that basically you can buy, all the equipment that you can buy, all the weapons, melee weapons that you can use, all the ranged weapons that you can use, all the mental and critical injuries that you can get when you are rolling, everything is already prepared for you here. So, and all the talents, I have here the talents for academic, for doctor, for the general ones. So I have basically everything here for this guy. So I don't have to recreate any of this thing. I can just do what will show right now. So let's delete these things from here. Let me delete these talents that I mentioned, and let me remove this gear. Yay, now I have nothing basically on my character. Let me remove the conditions here. Suppose that I'm creating my character and I say, okay, I want to have a book collection. You just need to open here, drag and drop to your character sheet, and voila, I have now a complete information about that specific gear. I have the bonus, the availability, the effect. If there is more descriptions, it can be shown here. And this means that if I go here, you can see that I have now my book collection. Oh, I want to do that with talent. So let's check here. There is the knowledge is reassuring. I do the same thing. Drag and drop. Here you are. It's on my talent. If I now go to learning, I can have the information here. It's doing a different type of thing. It's ignoring conditions. This is a different kind of bonus that you can have for some skills. And the good point is that it's being calculated automatically for you too. So for example, if I'm frightened, I should be having, for example, -1. But if I select this talent, this means that, let's check here. I have a 5 with 3, 8, -1, 7, +1, 8. But as I put that, this ignores the conditions for making learning tests. This means that this -1 will be not considered. So if I roll now, you can see that it rolled 9 dice. So as I'm saying, it makes things much more easier for you. Oh, I want to roll something for combat. Okay, just came here, take your melee weapon, drag and drop to your character sheet, roll here, and voila, you have basically everything correct configured, included the range. So having the model just means that your life will be much easier. Same thing that I mentioned for the talent, for the facility on the castle. I put it here, this new one, but if I I could just come here and say, okay, I want to take the psychiatrist. That is exactly doing what? Doing exactly that, giving me 2 bonus for mental recovery. So if I do that, When I'm now rolling here, I have here the upgrade automatically configured. So having the model will make your life much easier. It totally worth the price, because this means that you are not having to configure everything by yourself. You just have to drag and drop to your character sheet. So things are much easier in this perspective. Continue here. Now I'll just be using the things from here, so we have things, you know, kind of in an easy way. So combat. Let's just talk a little bit about combat, because that was something that we did some improvements. There are already some ideas that some other things will be even improved more. So I'm just taking here something for us to have something to put in combat. And I'll put here all of them in combat, and we can see these characters here. And although this is something that is done directly on Vaesen, there is a pull request open for the Vaesen system, for the Year Zero engine combat system, to make this even better. So what happens is that some creatures can have sometimes more than one initiative. So I'm duplicating this character here, and I'll ask them to basically draw an initiative. I'll just change a little bit here because I want to show something in a way that it will kind of make things better. So let me swap the initiative with the player with this whiteboard that is on 10. Perfect. So if you're playing the game, this means that you have a fast action and you have a slow action. So players that, or creatures that have more than one initiative, they have these as both. So let's see what will happen. So suppose that my character here, or this creature, he did his slow action, and voila, as you can see here, this slow action is set on the token. Right now it's showing here too and here, but on the pull request opened that we had for the Year Zero engine system, this means that you are only seeing here. This is not showing here for you because that does not make too much sense. Let's suppose, for example, that now it's the next player. He does his slow action. He does his fast action. Yeah, here we are. Now when you go back to the whiteboard, it kind of clears the conditions. He does his slow action. He does his fast action. You can see that here. Go to the next player. He does his fast action, does his slow and fast actions. You can see that the tokens are marked with that. And when you go back here, because basically all these slow actions and fast actions reset on we start the new turn, the new round, basically we cleared everything. So let's do again. I put it for this whiteboard here. Go to the player 2. He does his slow action only. We go to the whiteboard. You can see that automatically it clears the conditions for us here, and this means that it makes things simpler to control these slow and fast actions. Suppose that I just did the slow action and then this player does something and I have to use this fast action. I can control because I have both of the things here, and it shows easily how that is working. So things are much simpler, and you are able now to control even situations where you have duplicate combatants on the combat tracker. There is another thing that we have, is that there is a macro called the roll d66. That was one of the ways that we had before to basically allow you to roll d66 dice. However, there is now a much improved way. So if you just came to the chat and type the roll 1d66, you'll see that it will roll that automatically for you, and different from before, you'll basically have the information here about the total that you rolled. So in this case, 42. The good point to say about these dice 66 is that any roll that you do via chat right now will be using this kind of template. So if the GM basically asks you to roll a 1d10, you can roll that and it will show to you what is the result automatically. So as you can see here, it shows that there is a 1d10 roll and that a 3. You can even use modifications. So for example, 1d20 plus 4, no problem at all. It will do everything for you. It shows to you here what is the calculation. So every dice that you roll now via chat will be using this kind of format, because that's what makes sense. If you're trying to use something like, oh Kusa, but I need to roll something for my character, you can roll using this button here on the character sheet. That will be using the format about successes and failures that we have. So as you can see here, I have the normal roll for year 0 engine. So any chat that you put here, any roll that you do via chat now will be using this format. And I just want to make you aware that we already prepared the D666, and we have even prepared here a roll for D6666. So if anyone creates some kind of crazy table that has this amount of numbers, basically you are able now to use that directly on the Vaesen system, because again, any roll that you send via chat will be rolled as a total. The Vaesen system on the book has some very interesting rolling tables to create characters, and we integrated that directly here on the game. So if I came here, for example, as a player 2, it's the first time that I'm playing the game, I don't know nothing about the rules, and I don't want to understand that, I just want to have a character, or you want to just have a character for a one shot, you can use now the charge gen. And the charge gen basically creates a character based on the information that we have from the book. One important thing to say is that if you reroll that or you discarded that, your GM will know, and they will maybe ask why you are kind of doing this modification. But just for you to see here, he'll see, okay, this character generation was discarded by this player, and then he can ask you why you discarded that. In this case, for example, let's say that, okay, I like this one here, I don't know, and if I say yes, just mention this is a destructive operation that will overwrite your current character, you can never go back, would you like to proceed? If you select yes, what it does is that it fills everything for you. Not everything, but basically all the things that the charge gen rolled for you. So you can see here that it changed the age, it put some motivation, some trauma, some dark secret. It even, and that's kind of the interesting point, putted some, in this case here, not so much things, but you can see that he even putted some of the characters information. Let's draw again and show that. In this case here, I'm just saying that I want this guy, I like it. I do again, and as you can see, he already changed here the talents, the attributes, the skills. I have here now just this knife and dagger. On the talent, I have what I have on there, and I have the things on the gear. So that's kind of the power that if you have the model too, because when you are doing this charge gen, what it does is that it will kind of automatically get everything that you need for your character and put here. So you have something for combat, it's here. You have something for talent, it's here. You have some gear, it's here. It's totally automatically when you use the charge gen. Oh, Kusa, and if I don't have the core model, what will happen? It will generate the gear, talents, weapons without these descriptions, without their bonus and this kind of thing. You still have the player, but you need basically to go to your book, check what they do, and came here and configure that to the players. That's why I really recommend to you to get the core model. I'm quite active right now on the Year Zero Discord channel. I'll be trying to put a link here too. And there on the Vaesen channels, I'm kind of asking people what they would be like and this kind of thing. So if you like to help us, or you can do is that just leave a comment here on this video saying what are the things that you think that is missing right now on the Vaesen system, and I'll be checking. Again, remember, this was not a paid video, but links for the Free League website are on the description. I really want them to see that, you know, I'm doing this effort for Vaesen, and that maybe we can get some kind of partnership in the future, maybe to prepare some tables. And talk in table, if you want to play Vaesen but you don't have a group and you don't know people that plays Vaesen too, check my Start Playing website, where basically you can come here and join some games that I'm having. So for example, we'll have some Vaesen game running on the next Sunday, February 4th. Start on February 4th is a mini campaign with just 3 sessions, and I have another game running on Sunday too, that is on 7 p.m. GMT. So just check my profile. You can kind of get some. I'll be running some other games like the One Ring 2, and just check there, and you can basically play Vaesen with me. So if you have any questions, anything that you would like to say about the Vaesen system and this kind of thing, leave your comment here on the channel. Give this video a like, share with your friends, and I hope you like it and that it help you to understand all these new features. I'll be probably trying to do that when you start to release some. I'm not saying that I'll be doing that for every feature, but I'll be trying to do that for some of the videos. Oh, and I forgot that I forgot to show you something. If I go here now to the roles, and this is kind of interesting, especially for GMs that want to try to understand what happened with some player or why they rolled this number of dice. If you open now here, you can see everything that made the roll happen. So for example, why I rolled 10 dice here is because I have Logic 5, Learning 3, -1 condition, -1 critical injury, +1 for this new gear, +2 for this talent, +1 for this dice. Let's take here the one for the for when we have the already the books, or the using the core model. So again, you can see here book collection, and I use my talent knowledge is reassuring that ignore the conditions for the skill. So yeah, having the core model will make you things like your life easier, and I hope you like it. Yeah, I think that's all. And as I was saying, I'll be trying to do these kind of videos when we release some new versions, so we can kind of go with smaller videos about everything that we did. Again, I'm Kusa. Thank you a lot for being here, and hail!